Prof, thank you so much for making the time. Do you think the decision to place Communications Minister Stella Ndabeni-Abrahams for 2 months leave was enough for someone who broke a lockdown rule?
Well, I think this is possibly the way to start with this. As minister, what he tried to do, I think, is to send a message to the public in general of trying to indicate how serious the situation is. What he at the same time say, which doesn't receive so much attention, is that he said the police and others who are responsible for investigations must continue with that work. And what we have seen now is some of the political parties have actually laid the charge against her. So we will see what's going to happen in that respect. But I think as a point of departure, it sent a very important and strong message to the public about how he feels the members of government must also contribute to the public campaign or to the public demonstration of the seriousness of this.
You're talking about other opposition parties opening a case, but others are calling for her to recuse herself from cabinet or for the president to remove her, especially considering her level of authority and social standing. Is this necessary?
Well, I think what we are seeing is in other countries is that some persons who had done similar things there either resigned on their own or were removed from office. So, strictly speaking, that is the best option to follow. I think in this case there must have been some other considerations for President Ramaphosa that he didn't mention, that he took into account. I think it's a first for government or for a president to when a minister has done something which is out of line, that he actually reprimanded her or sanctioned her. It's not yet as much as that is supposed to be the case, but I think it's a beginning.
Has President Cyril Ramaphosa showed leadership, in your opinion, during this pandemic?
Well, I think the way in which he started with his first 2 speeches were very strong indications of leadership. The speech last night, where he extended the lockdown, was, I think, is generally not necessarily a popular decision, and it is therefore it's a decision that he took that was, in my view, possibly not easy to take, but because of that, I think that is normally an indication of leadership, where you take considerations into account that are not necessarily popular, but that is necessary for the best and for the national interest. And I think that is what he did last night. What we have seen, for example, is that the DA, as the official opposition, has issued a statement through John Steenhuisen that's very critical of this decision. They want some relaxation in the regulations, especially those that are dealing with business activities or the economy in general. So I guess there was lots of arguments, especially from an economic point of view or a business point of view, that was in favor of a loosening of the regulations or relaxation of the regulations. And despite that, he took a decision that hopefully for him and for us in the end is in our best interest.
Just judging by the behavior of some of the cabinet ministers, it's quite clear now that a crisis can make or break politicians or government. Do you think our politicians will come out stronger out of this challenge?
Well, we are entering now the critical period. The first week or 2 was the easier part of it. Now the population in general, the public is becoming, I would say, restless. It becomes too much, the confinement. The sacrifices that they are making are also hurting them. And therefore, the way in which the politicians are going to deal with this, and if there's a consensus amongst the political parties about this decision, then they will be able to come out strong, in a strong position. But if there's become bickering between them, if it becomes a politicized matter, in other words, then I think there's a good chance that some politicians will not be seen as any more serving the national interest at this point, but rather their personal or party interest.
What's your
I think
sense so far,
that's
Prof?
the danger for it becoming more politicized than up to now.
What's your sense so far? Is there consensus?
At the moment, there is a consensus, except for the DA, who wants to create space for themselves, because I think the main frustration about the opposition parties is that the current situation almost excludes them. They can't play a role, a visible role. The media attention that they receive are very little. We are moving towards an election next year, and for them it must be highly frustrating. And I think but still, President Ramaphosa has now met them again before his announcement of yesterday, and therefore I think it looks like, at least from the outside, as if there's a general understanding of what the steps he's taking, and support for it. But as I say, the DA is the one that really tries to create some space for themselves in order to have a voice in this, and to show to the public that they have their own ways of also looking at this.
Now, in order for the government to retain control and ensure that citizens abide by the law, what should happen?
Well, I think there's lots of aspects that still needs to be tightened. What President Ramaphosa has predicted, and what Minister Koetzee, the health minister, has also said, is that there's still a storm coming to us. I think the main uncertainty is about what is going to happen if it reaches the townships in big numbers, and whether the infrastructure, the health infrastructure, that means the hospitals, the way in which the testing is taking place, all of that is really becoming effective, and that's a test that we don't know to what extent it's that they are going to pass that. It's something which is unknown, and I think this is the main concern for President Ramaphosa and many of us. Is at this stage was still sort of containable, but what will happen when it really starts to explode?
Let's thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you very much.
Professor Dirk Koetzee is a political analyst.